Om Namah Shivaya, Episode 31, Chapter 7, verses 20 to 27. Why are we not able to recognize Vasudeva is everything? See Ishvara, the one pure consciousness in every atom of this creation. Verse 20 tells us that among the four devotees that were mentioned in verse 16, if we are Artha, the devotee in distress, or the Arthati, those seeking wealth and pleasure, means we are deluded, as our desires have robbed us of our ability to discriminate between Atma and Anatma. Kame ste hrita jnanaha, as we are driven by our own disposition. Swayam prakriti niyata, to worship other devatas. Ananya devata prapadyante, as what is stipulated in our Vedas. Tam tam niyamam astaya. The purpose of human birth is to work out our prarabdha karma, purify our mind, qualify for the knowledge of Brahman, and convert it to wisdom to be liberated. However, if we spend our life fulfilling our desires, means we are deluded. We will not be able to see that one pure consciousness, Vasudeva, in everything. This universe is governed by the law of dharma and the law of karma. And our Veda is divided into two sections. The first section is the Karma Kanda, where we are taught to do various rituals to various deities to fulfill our particular desire. The aim of this section is to ensure that all our actions are righteous so that we can avoid wrong action. And when we do an action with a desire, and if it is a good action, we get punyas. And if it is a wrong action, we get papas. And these punyas and papas have time bound and we have to experience it. So punyas will not give us absolute happiness. It is time bound, it will come to an end. But once we have established ourselves in doing good actions, we must convert ourselves to be jignasus and do our duties for the purification of our mind to qualify for the knowledge of Brahman, convert it to wisdom and be liberated. Then we see everything in this world as Vasudeva. We are not affected by the pairs of opposites. We are in absolute bliss. In verse 21, Sri Krishna says, whoever the devotee is, ye bhakta, and in whichever devata we desire to worship with faith, yam tanum shraddhaya architum ichchati, indeed in that same faith, Ishvara makes our faith unshakable. Tasya achalam shraddham vindatami aham. The result is given by Ishvara, the law of karma. Even though we are invoking only a fraction of Ishvara, as all devatas are Ishvara. Verse 22 says, when we are endowed with faith in the Vedas that promises a particular results for a particular ritual. And when we do that ritual with faith to that Devata, indeed from that Devata we get the results. Labhate cha tata kaman, which is ordained by Ishvara's law of karma. Maya eva vihitan hitan. We think that the result is given by the Devata, but it is ordained by Ishvara's law of karma. At the same time, we must know fulfilling desires other than gaining the knowledge of Brahman is limited. It is time bound. It will come to an end and cause grief. Therefore, fulfilling desires is not most desirable. Verse 23 tells us that when we have limited discrimination, we worship Devatas and we go to the Devatas. Devan Deva Yaja Yanti. By worshipping Devatas, we gain punyas, which is limited. It will come to an end. Then we have to do another action to gain more punyas. So it is an endless cycle of action, reaction, action, reaction. And we continue going in this endless cycle of birth and death. However, when we worship Ishvara, meaning when we do our duties for the purification of our mind and qualify for the knowledge of Brahman, and when it is converted to wisdom, we see that one truth in this entire creation, and we are that truth. We are Mahatma. We become Ishvara. Mat Bhakta Mam Apiyanti. We become liberated. We see this entire creation as Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, unaffected by the pairs of opposites. We are free, liberated. Verse 24 tells us that when we lack sufficient wisdom, or buddhaya, we consider Ishvara, who is formless, endowed with a form. Manyate avyaktam mam vyaktimapannam. We think Ishvara is Lord Vishnu, who was in Vaikuntha and has now come down as Sri Krishna. We do not see that one pure consciousness pervading the entire universe. As we do not know that Ishvara is Atma, which is changeless and beyond which there is nothing. Ajnanata mam param bhavam anu uttamam. To know Ishvara, we must constantly contemplate upon the knowledge of Brahman until it is converted to wisdom. Verse 25 tells us that this entire world of human beings worship Devatas. We do not seek Ishvara directly because we are covered by Yoga Maya. We are united with our three gunas. Ayam Loka Yoga Maya Samaprita. So we do not recognize Ishvara. Na aham prakasha sarvasya. Being deluded, muda, we do not know, na abhijanati, that Ishvara is unborn and changeless. Mam ajam apyayam. Ishvara is a magician, Mayavi. He has Maya under his control. and He is creating, sustaining, and dissolving the universe without undergoing any change, whereas we are under the spell of Maya. So to get out of this spell, we must seek Ishvara, seek the knowledge of Brahman, convert it to wisdom, and discover that absolute bliss is our nature. We are Satchit Ananda Atma. In verse 26, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that Ishvara knows everything that existed in the past, samatitani bhutani, and everything that exists now, vartamani cha, and everything that will exist in the future, bhavishyani cha. Whereas nobody knows me, nobody knows Ishvara. Mam tu veda na kaschana. Ishvara is governing the universe through his two main laws, the law of dharma and the law of karma. And everything that existed in the past, that exists now, and that will exist in the future will be his law of karma. Therefore, he knows everything. Whereas we, being covered by Yoga Maya, united with the three gunas, do not know Ishvara. We do not know the truth of this entire creation. In verse 27, Sri Krishna addresses Arjuna as Bharata, the one born of the Bharata family, and Parantapa, the scourger of enemies, the destroyer of ignorance. He tells Arjuna that in this world all human beings are born deluded. Sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti. Due to the pairs of opposites, dvandva mohena, arising from our desires and aversion, ichcha dvesha samutena. We human beings are born deluded due to our desires and aversion. These pairs of opposites deludes us. These opposites themselves are not a problem. Heat is not a problem, cold is not a problem. Similarly, success or failure. Heat and cold is Ishvara's creation, which we must learn to accept and adjust. Whereas labeling something as success or failure is our creation. It is purely from the standpoint of our expectation. The problem is we want to control everything. With 2 hands, 2 legs, 5 senses, some of which are not functioning well, and a mind with limited knowledge, we want to control this world. This attempt to control makes us fall under the spell of Maya. Our desires are changing all the time. It arises in our mind, creates a multifaceted delusion which obstructs our vision of recognizing that truly we are Satchit Ananda Atma. So to remove this delusion, we must gain the knowledge of Brahman. And in verse 27, we shall take a break, and next we are going to see that to gain the knowledge of Brahman, we must be jignasus. Commit to this study and become jnanis, to discover that truly we are Satchit Ananda Atma. So till then, Om Namah Shivaya.